Hello, this is going to be a video on how to set up your frame for drafting and plotting your detail drawings. So this PDF here is of a board with 9 different drawings, and you'll notice that they all are aligned in a grid of 3 by 3, and then there's a title block with a logo, class name, the project title, my name, and then the drawing number. So I'm going to just show you guys in this video how to draft out this frame for that. So something just to take note of is that I like to think of the layout space. Remember, there's a layout and the model space in AutoCAD. And I like to think of the layout space as like InDesign, and that each drawing that we put into it is like an Illustrator file, and so we do all the work in the model space, which is like Illustrator, and then we bring it into InDesign and do all the layout and alignment. And so this layout space here is for alignment. And so when drafting this board, something else to keep in mind is that for our final, we might be putting 9 drawings into one really large scale plotted page, but for this tutorial, I'm just going to show you guys how to set this up for an 11 by 17 PDF, and then we can translate the information from this video to a larger scale. But for now, we're just going to be doing it for an 11 by 17. So you'll want to open up a new drawing, and then type units, and put in architectural, and I have mine in inches. Click OK. And then make sure that it's 90/180 for your cursor snaps here. And then for object snap, make sure you have endpoint and midpoint on. So what we're going to do first is make a rectangle. And you can do that by either typing rectangle or clicking on that icon. And then just click, and then tell it dimensions, and then type 17, enter, and 11, enter. And then it'll have you click one more time. So this is going to be what an 11 by 17 page would look like. And then we're going to offset it, oops, by 1/2 inch. And then it'll ask you whether you want that to be out or in. You'll click in, and then click enter. And the next step that we're going to do is create layer properties. So click on layer properties here, and something like this will show up, and you'll just have layer 0 right now. You'll want to click on this add layer icon, which is the squares with the orange circle, and create one layer that's called border. And we're going to make this a pretty thick line weight, so I'm going to click on my gray color here. And then you'll want to make a new layer. Oh, sorry. There it goes. Make a new layer, and then just call it guides. And what we'll do here is make it red by clicking on this square and tell it you want it to be red. And then click on the printer icon so that it doesn't print out, because these are just going to be guides that we don't want to actually be printed out. It's this grid that we're making for alignment. So what you'll want to do is click on this layers drop-down menu and select guides, and polyline here. And then what we'll do is on the outer edge of the circle, we're going to create some guides for how to center this on the paper. So just click on this corner here, and then 0.5, type 0.5, and then click enter. And then we'll do the same thing the other way. So click here, and then type 0.5, enter. And then enter again. And what we're going to do is eventually delete this outer square and just keep these little red lines, because they'll just help us to know how to center it on the page. So select those 2 lines and type mirror. And then it'll ask for the starting point, so just click on the midpoint, and then the next midpoint. and then type enter. And then we'll click on these two lines one more time. And then we'll do the same thing. So type mirror, and then find the midpoints. And something to keep in mind is it always shows a triangle when you're on the midpoint. So now we have all 4 of our corners. We can delete this outer edge. And then I'm also going to select this box that I drew and click on the drop down menu and then click border. So now it's on the border layer. Enter. Oops. And for this tutorial, I'm just going to make it blue. I think that'll be a little bit easier for you guys to see. So yeah, I'll just make it light blue, but you can make it blue or green. Blue, the cyan color is a little bit of a thinner line weight, and the gray is a thicker line weight, according to our pen chart. So really both work, but I will probably eventually turn this back to gray. But so now we have the outer square here, and we're going to want to divide this into 2 different squares. So what you'll want to do is select polyline, make sure that you're on the border layer, and then click here, type 1.5, enter, and then go down so it's parallel. And then just make sure that you have your cursor snaps on so that it's a parallel line, and then click again, enter. And then something I like to do, because we drew this in an L shape, just click on this last joint and then pull it back to here. So it's just one line, not that L shape. And then the next thing that we'll want to do is offset this line. And let's specify offset distance. Let's just do 1/4 of an inch. Click enter. And then it'll ask you which side you want. We want it to the left, and then click again, and then enter. And so then to make it look like this, 2 separate rectangles, we'll just want to trim the box by those 2 lines we drew. So click here, and then type trim. And the way I did that is by, I clicked from the right and dragged and selected both. And then type trim, enter, and just select here, and then scroll down. And the way I'm scrolling out is by scrolling down, and I'm zooming in by scrolling up. So click there, and then click enter. So now we have our 2 rectangles. And then the last thing that we'll want to do is just create this title block. So something to keep in mind, for most of the drawings we'll want to have like 3 to 4 little squares. For this one we have 4. I'm going to create just 3. Usually we don't need like a drawing set number because they'll all fit onto one 11 by 17. But for this one I'm going to create 3 little boxes, one for the class, one for the assignment, and then one for your name. So here, just select polyline, and I'm going to go to snaps and turn on nearest, and then just click anywhere else, and then click polyline, and then draw 1 line here, and then I'm going to turn nearest off because that just makes it sometimes hard for things to be parallel, and then just click again, and then I'm going to copy this line 2 more times. From here, and it doesn't have to be completely exact because I ended up kind of changing the placement of these lines based on how much text I needed. So these are probably a little too spread out, but you can see like we really aren't writing too much, and you can make the font size smaller or bigger. So for now, just 3 lines there that we can separate whatever text that we eventually want to put in there. And then finally, before we add in the grid, what we'll want to do is put in the UNL logo. A lot of firms will put in their firm logo at the top, so for this one we're just going to put UNL since we're doing this for school. So what you'll want to do is Google search UNL logo and just pick a logo. I like to pick one that's in landscape form, so it's wider than it is long, or wider than it is tall, because it'll just fit better into here, but that's really up to you. If you just want like an N that's a square, that will work too. So you'll want to go to Google Image, pick a UNL logo, and then save it to somewhere you'll remember in your files. And then once you do that, you'll type the command image attach, enter, and then select that logo, click OK, and then you can I'll put nearest back on my snaps, then just click elsewhere, and then I'm going to snap it here, and then it'll have me tell it the scale I want, so I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to turn nearest off. So I think that it might make it not quite perpendicular, and there we go. And if this isn't quite the size that you want it to be when you put it in, then you can definitely just click type scale, specify a base point, and then say reference, and you'll want to click on the width of the picture and then snap it, and then that'll be the right size. So that's how to do that, and eventually we'll add text in here, but don't worry about that for now. And then finally we'll just want to add the grid in. So the way it is split here is in a 3x3 grid, so there's room. If you have 9 drawings, you can add them all in. So that's what we'll do for this one, but for most of our assignments we'll really only need to put in like 2 or 3, so you might want to change the grid every once in a while, but for this one we'll just do a 3x3. So the next step will just be to divide this length by 3 and see what the even spacing would be for that grid. So I'm just going to take from this example I have, I'm going to do a dimension right here. Actually, just in case this dimension's slightly different, what I'll do is a dimension of this space. So it says 14.2500, and I'll just divide that by 3. I get 4.75. So what I'll want to do is select the guides layer and select polyline, and then type 4.75, enter, and then down. And then I'll just want to copy this from here to there. So now it's divided that way, and something I'll want to do is just stretch this back. So I'm just clicking on this line, clicking on the joint, and then pulling it back to here. So that way it doesn't overlap with the blue line. And then I'll just want to do the same exact thing for the vertical side then. So I'll find the dimension here, and it's exactly 10 inches. So 10 divided by 3 is going to be 3.33. So what I'll do is the same thing here. So click on the corner, select the direction, and then 3.33, enter. And then just click. And then I'll copy this here and click enter. And then the same thing, just click on that joint and pull it back to where it needs to go. Same for this one. Oops. Click on the line, select that joint, and pull it back. Okay. So then here's how to make that, and then you'll want to save it to your sorry, I'm forgetting what it's called, sheet files as 11 by 17 sheet file or 11 by 17 layout, whatever you'll remember it as there, and then you'll eventually just xref this file into all of your layouts and use it to help with alignment for all of your drawings. So I hope that this was helpful. Let me know if there's anything I can clarify or slow down on this video. I know it's hard to just get used to zooming in and making lines and specifying lengths in the beginning, so let me know if I can help with anything or with layers or anything like that. But I hope that this was helpful. Thank you.